Just having a conversation with someone who's in our program, and it just brings to light what's going on right now. But there are a lot of statistics that just show that what's happening right now is increasing the amount of business that's done online, and not just like, oh man, there's a little bump. It is exponentially growing. And it reminds me of a book I was reading about a time period that we call the gold rush. And during this gold rush, which actually was 1848 to 1855, during that time period, there were a lot of bad things. Like, it wasn't like people were like, oh man, things are so great. This is the gold rush. Everybody's getting gold. The people that were living during those times, there were a lot of terrible things that were happening, a lot of disease, a lot of poverty, just a lot. There were some issues with like crops, and then there was like actual starvation in the US. Like, there were crazy things that were happening. But in the midst of all that, we all know the story of Levi's that was born. All of the people that became very wealthy just selling the picks and axes. All the people that obviously became wealthy as gold miners. And I think it's funny. I think that right now there are a lot of people that are focused on the problems instead of being focused on the opportunity. Just like all the way back then, there are a lot of people in 1848 that were focused on the problems. And then there were other people that were saying, hey, like, there's some gold in Nevada. Let me just start my way. Things are not working on the farm. Like, let me start my way. And then a lot of those people that went to Nevada and went to Northern California during the gold rush were people that they were like, hey, this sucks where I am. This sucks what I'm doing right now. And there were a lot of other people that weren't willing to take that risk. And I think there's something to be said for certainty. There are a lot of folks that would rather have a terrible situation and have certainty in that situation than to take a risk and not know what's on the other side. And when we talk about somebody traveling to Nevada or traveling to Southern California, like, they didn't have the internet. Like, a lot of times they didn't even know anybody who had ever gone there. They had no idea what was on the other side of that. They couldn't just look up on the internet and figure it out. And so I think, again, I think we're in a time right now that, number one, historians are going to look back. There's a reason that every billionaire that's doing anything online is seeing their net worth double, triple, quadruple. There's just a lot of money that is moving. There's literally a wealth transfer that's happening. I think that people have used that word, just overly used that word. They've overly used this concept of wealth transfer. And when a wealth transfer is really happening, nobody's talking about it. And that's what we're in. Like, but the wealth transfer is happening in a very big way. There's a reason that Amazon is a $1.5 trillion business. And somebody asked Jeff Bezos, like, man, do you feel bad that you have this $100 billion net worth? And he's like, not at like why like not at all. Like, I've created $1 trillion, over a trillion, and all of the rest of that money outside of my 100 billion, the other 900 billion, like, these aren't numbers to just kind of let. So I think we hear these numbers so much that we don't really um, try to understand them. It's just a number. Like, we don't understand the wealth, the power, the impact, the customers, the suppliers, the manufacturers, everything that is involved. I mean, it's a country, and there are literally countries that would dream of $1 trillion GDP, like like 100 countries, literally. You know, 170 countries. There are 100 that would dream, and so this guy on top of a makeshift uh, desk made out of a table and a couple pieces of wood came with an idea and started what is now bigger than a majority of countries, has a bigger impact than a majority of countries. And so we hear these numbers, and so I want to bring you into a little bit. I mean, that's just like an inkling of the reality of what that represents. And so obviously, like, no, why would he feel bad about having 100 billion when he's created over a trillion? And that's a lot of, I think, what we're seeing is that people are focused on just the wrong thing. A lot of the opportunities are being overlooked, and I think there are a lot of people that just are afraid to take the risk. They are the farmer who's talking to his family about how crazy the other farmer is that sold his farm and is leaving to go to California to look for gold. And it's a real thing. Like you really have to decide: are you willing to get out here and take risks? And it's okay if you're not. You know, like eventually things got better, and you know the other farmer had a lower middle class life and survived. But a lot of those other people really won, and there were some that didn't. And so you got to decide if you're willing to take that risk or not. But just wanted to make this very quick video just to encourage you. If you're somebody that's watching this channel, you're somebody that's interested in doing bigger things and not kind of being average. And so what I would encourage you to do is to be willing to take risks because you know we're here one time. Let's do it as big as possible. And even if you're somebody that believes in reincarnation, like you're only here as you one time. So everybody's here one time. So, you know, I would encourage you to be willing to take risks, deal with the positives and the consequences and negatives of the risk, because like right now isn't going to exist. You know, once we hit 1855 and that gold rush was over, you know, there was a time where just like a great percentage of the people, the reason they call it gold rush, remember, is that even though now we think, oh, it's crazy, we don't really get the concept of a lot of people went out and they got a ton of gold. Like it was the great majority of folks. If you were willing to take that risk during the gold rush, if you're willing to take it and be that person in 1848 that went out and you were the first and you were aggressive, then you won in a very big way. In 1849, the odds decreased and you're more likely to lose. In 1850, decreased a little bit more, and now you're even more likely to lose. By 1855, it was like literally it's a time period, and so 1855 that was the end. And so you were very likely to lose, especially as you got into 1856 and on. And so being very aggressive at the beginning, and it's not like that was it was an advertisement that said, and this is one of the ways that you look for things. It's like if somebody's advertising starting a Facebook agency or something like that. It's like that is, you know, by the time of 1856, there were ads like Gold Rush and da 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 da. Like, no, you have to be before you see an ad. You want to be the person in 1848 because the odds are a lot higher that you're going to win if you get in at the very beginning. So I think we're in a time where a lot of people are focused on negative things, and I really do think, you know, and it's not even just thing, like there's already numbers that are proving the fact that, you know, we're not in 1848. We're already moving towards 1849 if you want to take kind of the gold rush years. And so we're already a year after. But the question is, are you going to wait till 1855 to really take action? Are you going to, when everybody's saying like, oh, like this is the thing and this is a gold rush and, everybody comes and there's too much. So I think that now is the time to be buying these assets. I think now is a very unique opportunity to acquire these deals. And of course, there's risk involved, but it's well worth the risk right now versus what's going to be happening 5 years from now. So hopefully this is an encouraging video for some of you, and someone will use this and go out and close a deal. And if you do, be sure to shoot me a note. I love hearing from you guys and some of the things that you're making happen just from these free videos. So have a great one. Have a great weekend, and I'll talk to you guys next week.